They have been deemed unconstitutional.
No.
If you and your sister had a baby in rural Georgia and raised it on Cheetos and Mountain Dew...
Matter of fact, my father nearly fell off the ladder when he eloped with, who'd he elope with again? Your mother?
And all she watched were Green Acres reruns from K to 12, and then at 18 you instructed her to examine the ambiguities of the Sixth Amendment, she would perform exponentially better than this unfortunate collection of inbred monkey genes called Lauren Boebert.
I'm asking about the EPA, and I'm asking about your rogue bureaucrats that have enacted these unconstitutional regulations. Are you going to repeal them? Are you going to continue to implement them, or are you going to stop altogether? Since it's been overturned.
Do you understand the ruling?
Do you understand the ruling of the Supreme Court?
I do. And so your question is ill-formed. No.
Will you be repealing?
We're not going to stop.
You're going to unconstitutionally continue with these rulemakings.
We're going to adhere to the Supreme Court and continue to do
which rulemakings are you going to roll back?
We're going to adhere to the Supreme Court and continue to do our work in accordance to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court.
So which ones are you going to repeal?
The Supreme Court didn't tell us to repeal anything.
They have been deemed unconstitutional.
No.
Absolutely, they have. This was a huge victory.
Mr. Regan, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I would just like to clarify a few things for my colleague from Colorado. The Loper-Bright ruling, as you know, said that the courts should not defer to agency rulemaking if a statute is ambiguous, and instead the courts get to determine whether or not what the statute means. Is that your understanding as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that would not require any regulations to be reversed or overturned, correct?
Correct.
It would be unfathomably embarrassing to any party and any other period in American history to have this truly cognitively challenged, doughy-eyed sack of stupid representing America. But of course, the bar is pretty low.
I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes. And my stupid people, when I wanted to refute it, they said, "Sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal. Refutal or a rebuttal?" What the hell word would that be? Rebuttal? What they'll say, he didn't know, rebuttal or refutal, but they don't know either. Build that wall. Build that wall.
The Supreme Court case to which Boebert clumsily referred is not that hard to understand. Last month, the Supreme Court overruled the 1984 case Chevron versus Natural Resources Defense Council, and it's a huge blow to education, knowledge, and public safety. And the premise is simple. Who should make critical decisions to resolve ambiguities in congressional statutes? The experts in those agencies or this guy? All the Chevron case did was lay out the simple rule. It's the federal agency, not courts, that should resolve the ambiguity, because agencies have expertise that courts don't. And that's what exploded Cracker Barrel's brain.
We need a full investigation into just how many puppies were eaten alive on Fauci's watch.
Actually, her brain was never truly formed. Boebert came into Congress with a mugshot and a failure to appear arrest, a husband who exposed himself to teenage girls, a son who became a parent as a teenager, making Boebert a 36-year-old grandma, and of course, the infamous hand job in a movie theater.
Boebert. Say it 3 times and she appears in security video from a weekend performance of Beetlejuice, where the congresswoman was kicked out of the theater for being disruptive. The DCPA says she was vaping. Boebert's team denied that, said the haze was from fog machines in the show. That claim goes up in smoke when you see the video. The pregnant woman sitting behind Boebert told the Denver Post she asked her to stop vaping, and Boebert refused. Her one-woman show continued, taking flash photos, raising her hands and dancing, often the only one clapping or standing up in the crowd. Boebert occasionally took a break from being disruptive to enjoy the company of her male companion. He briefly had a grasp on the situation before ushers returned and told Boebert she had to leave. The theater's incident report says Boebert pulled the "Don't you know who I am" card on the way out.
That was about the softest reference that he could have made, but you want to talk about the theater thing?
But that's just chapter 1 of Lauren Boebert.
I have the voting record to back it, and that is why yesterday, the greatest president of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump, has fully and completely endorsed me in this race because he knows he needs me alongside of him in the fight when he returns to Washington, D.C.
I have absolutely no idea who this woman is.
But the truly frightening thing is that she views any legislation that she doesn't understand, like most of MAGA in Congress, as part of some deep state bullshit. And that's terrifying. As she tries to bully her colleague and then gets fact-checked live, she feels no shame or anger because she's literally too stupid to understand the depth and gravity of her ignorance.
They have been deemed unconstitutional.
No.
Judge Kagan listed numerous examples of the types of legal ambiguities that courts will now be required to navigate. I'm quoting her. The FDA regulates biological products, including proteins. When does an alpha amino acid polymer qualify as a protein? Can you imagine this posse of dumb tackling this? Or the Endangered Species Act, including distinct population segments of those species. But what makes one population segment distinct from another? Must the Forest Service treat the Washington state population of western gray squirrels as distinct because it is geographically separated from other western gray squirrels? Kagan said these are questions that should be answered by the FDA and the Fish and Wildlife Services, not Clarence Thomas or Samuel Alito. Of course, Republicans like Boebert break it down like this. If it's too hard to understand, then it can't be important.
We're here to tell government, we don't want your benefits. We don't want your welfare. Don't come knocking on my door with your Fauci outie. You leave us the hell alone.
Or trying to explain to people that if masks don't protect you, why does a surgeon wear one?
I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Things gotta breathe.
If stupid is contagious, Lauren Boebert and Dairy Queen might be patient zero.
Oh, Jesus didn't need an AR-15. How many AR-15s do you think Jesus would have had? Well, he didn't have enough to keep his government from killing him.
Their collective ignorance is the backbone of the Republican Party, and together with Trump and Project 2025, they're a threat to everyone. With new pandemics on the horizon, instead of learning more, Trump and these dotards will roll back vaccination mandates, masks, and social distancing that worked in 2020 as it did in 1918, not to mention the elimination of facts that make them uncomfortable.
This earth warming and carbon is actually healthy for us. We've already warmed 1 degree Celsius, and do you know what's happened since then? Here, let me tell you. We have had more food grown since then, which feeds people.
I honestly don't know how to deal with this level of dump.
Indictable.
Other than to say there's a direct correlation to people being on their phones, not reading the New York Times, but instead watching the Kardashians or posting pictures of their food on their Instagram accounts. Meanwhile, your country's being destroyed by people who have either no interest in learning or understanding their jobs and the gravity their ignorance poses, but instead just want a picture with the orange skin tag.
But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over.
They say the first step in recovery is acceptance. Accept that there is a problem.
There is no way that the American people are going to vote for a convicted criminal. They're not.
So I will be voting for Trump.
Well, I think on that point, is there any argument?
Don't worry about voting. The voting, we got plenty of votes. Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
Who's with me? This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, right.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.